Maps are my absolute favorite type of chart to create in Tableau. In this video, I'll show you the basic methods behind creating maps. We'll set the geographic data roles, clean up our data, and then create our first map. I've got a Tableau workbook open, and we've already connected to the Atlanta flight delays dataset. However, I haven't yet set any data types, and I also haven't cleaned up the data any further. In the data pane, the icons to the left of each field name shows the data type for each field. Tableau can recognize many common geographic fields when you connect to a data source, and it will automatically use a globe icon to show that it has given the field a geographic role. We see here that it has correctly recognized the country called dest country for destination country of the flight as having a geographic role of country or region. However, Tableau hasn't automatically recognized many of the other geographic fields. Let's set them ourselves. For the field called Dest, which is Destination Airport, click on the ABC icon and then set the geographic role from the menu to Airport. Let's do the same thing for the field called Origin, which is the Origin Airport. Currently, Tableau can map airport codes that are assigned by IATA, the International Air Transportation Association, or ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. For the dataset we are using, the airport codes are assigned by the US FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. And for the airports in this dataset, their FAA codes are all exactly the same as the codes assigned by IATA, which are recognized by Tableau. However, I do want to mention that if our data set had some other kind of coding system that's unsupported by Tableau, we could still map the airports by bringing in additional information. For example, we could merge in a data set of airport longitude and latitude coordinates that could be used for mapping. Lastly, for dest state, which is the destination state of the flight, click on the ABC icon, and then go to Geographic Role and set it as a state or province. It's important to remember that your geographic roles need to be set, and you need to see the globe icons in Tableau here. Otherwise, you won't be able to select Maps as your chart type. You might have noticed that we haven't changed the role for the field called Destination City Name. That's because we have a bit of an issue that we need to clean up first. Let's click on the Data Source tab towards the bottom of the screen to go back to the source data. In the data viewer on the right, find that field. It's here on my screen. This field is stored in the data as the city name with a comma and then the state abbreviation. We need to clean this up so that it only has the city. Luckily, Tableau has an easy way to do that. You can select the drop-down caret and then select Split from the menu. Afterwards, scroll all the way over to the right to find the new fields that were created. And I see that here on my screen. This one called Dest City Name dash Split 1 is all of the text that was in front of that comma, and that's the city name. The other new field that was created, called Destination City Name Split 2, that's all of the text that was behind the comma, which is the state abbreviation. We don't need this field because this information is already stored in the field for destination state. So to keep it clean, I'll select the drop-down caret here and select Delete. There's also one more problem with our new field for city that we need to clean up. I'm going to click the sort icon that's just to the right of the field name. And then if you scroll through that data, you'll notice a few of the records that have multiple names in the field with a / between them. I see one here. This is going to cause problems in our maps later. If you scroll through and don't see any cities like this that I have, then you can increase the number of records in the sample of data that you're seeing by entering a larger number in this box. For example, I can type in 10,000 and then I'll see all of the data. To clean this issue up, we can split the data again. Let's select the drop-down caret for this field and then select Split. Find the new fields that were created, and I see them here. There's 2 of them. This one called Destination City Name Split 1 is the one that I want to use. It's the one, it has the first city name that was in front of any forward slashes. We'll use that for mapping. I'll select the drop-down caret and then rename it. Let's call it Dest City. And I'll also go ahead and click on the ABC icon, change its geographic role to city. And now it's ready to use for mapping. To keep the data clean, I'll delete the new field here that was called Dest City Name Split 1, Split 2. We don't need that. One last thing that I want to do to clean up the data is to hide a couple of fields from view. That way I won't get confused with there being multiple fields for city. For Dest Name, the Destination City Name Split 1, that was our first split we did, I'll select the drop-down caret and then hide it. We might be tempted to delete it instead since we're not going to use it, but we used it to create our cleaned field for city that we are using, so if we attempt to delete it, we'll get a message saying that doing so will impact our cleaned field. I'll just hide it. And then I'll go back over to the original field called Destination City Name and hide it as well. Once you set the geographic roles, Tableau will automatically generate longitude and latitude coordinates for you. Let's go over to Sheet 1 and then look at the data pane. You'll see those fields called longitude and latitude generated. The italic font tells us that the fields are automatically generated fields, so the word generated is in parentheses in the field name to remind us that these fields have been automatically generated. I'll double click on the field called Destination City Name. And then you can see that Tableau automatically creates a map for us, and it shows all city destinations that have delayed flights from Atlanta. In our map, notice that it placed the automatically generated longitude and latitude coordinates on the columns and row shelves. And then also notice in the marks card that it also added city to detail. And this is how it creates a map. As an alternative to the automatically generated latitude and longitude coordinates, Tableau can plot points on a map for you using fields for latitude and longitude that are stored in your data set, if you have them. We don't in this data set. In the bottom right corner of the screen, it says that I have 98 unknown locations. So why so many? That's because many city names are the same across different states, and Tableau doesn't know which state the city should be mapped to. This is sometimes referred to as ambiguous locations. It can also happen when you're mapping cities across the world and there are multiple countries that have cities with the same names. We can correct this by dragging state and country into detail. And I'll do that now. Now we've told Tableau to use the state and country in the data associated with each city name, and I have fewer locations that couldn't be mapped. Because of this issue when building maps, I've always found it helpful to create a hierarchy with your geographical data. A hierarchy is an ordered set of related fields that usually go from a broad view to a detailed view. And in Tableau, creating a hierarchy is a convenient way to organize your fields into levels of detail that can be drilled down or rolled up in a visualization. Let's do this now. In the data pane, let's find destination country, use the drop-down caret, and select hierarchy from the menu and then create hierarchy. It'll ask you for a name, and I'm going to name mine geographical locations. And then click OK. Then we can take destination state and add it to the hierarchy by dragging it and dropping it just below destination country. And then we can do the same thing for destination city. Drag and drop it to just underneath destination state in the hierarchy. If you mess up where you drop it, remember you can always hit the undo button. You can also drag these back out. And now I've got my hierarchy that goes from country to state to city level. Let's create a new sheet to see how this new hierarchy works. And then once again, I'm going to double click on the field of interest, destination city, and let Tableau build the view, just like we did previously. Or alternative, you can also select city and then use the show me button up at the top to select map. Notice the marks card. Even though we only clicked on city, it also added state and country to detail. It did this because we've set the hierarchy. And since it's a hierarchy, we can drill up to state level to see that we have delayed flights to 48 states. And then we can drill up even further to the country level to see that we have delayed flights to only one country, the United States. And that's because in this data set, it has domestic flights out of Atlanta. And then we can drill back down to state and city level. That drill down feature of hierarchies is very helpful. But we still have one city that couldn't be mapped. I see it here. It says one unknown. Let's click that indicator and we can see some options that come up. One option is to filter your data, and that would remove all data that Tableau couldn't map. You have another option for show data at default position, and it places any unknown locations right in the center of your map. Instead, I'll select the option for edit locations. And a warning sign will come up that shows us that we have one issue for city and none for states, and also none for country. I see the unrecognized city is Cincinnati. This city is technically in the state of Ohio. However, in the data set, it's coded as being in the neighboring state of Kentucky because the airport is in Kentucky. The metropolitan area of Cincinnati actually spans across 2 states, and Tableau is confused. So I'm going to close this down. I'll zoom into Tableau and show you where it should be mapped. So that airport should be mapped right around here. And it's not. I'll show you that on Google Maps as well. So the airport is here. And then this is Cincinnati. And then here's the border between the 2 states, between Ohio and Kentucky. So I'm going to pick one of these cities in Kentucky that's close to the airport. How about Florence? I'll go back over to Tableau, click on that unknown indicator, edit locations, and then here where it says unrecognized, I'm going to start typing in Florence. And I see it here. I'll select it when the city comes up, and I'll click OK. And then we see now that it was able to map, it maps the city of the airport. As an alternative, we could enter a latitude and longitude using that drop-down menu as well. So I'll go back and show you the edit locations. And you'll see in this drop-down menu here, there's an enter latitude and longitude. So if you have exact coordinates that you want to use, you can enter that there. I'm going to close it and then hit undo or actually hit redo, so I have that, that city mapped again. You can usually find coordinates within a Google search. And now we can see on our map that Tableau has the city mapped. On hover, the tooltip is saying exactly what's in the data, which is Cincinnati, Kentucky, but we're mapping the mark to Florence, Kentucky. So we'll stop here for now, but be sure to save your workbook so that you can continue to follow along in the next video.